The WBC belt that has included Ali, the greatest of all time. They are set and ready to answer who's the greatest of right now. Wilder, Fury 2, here we go.
News! Okay, we'll start with this per tweet from Michael Benson. Deontay Wilder's new trainer, Malik Scott. Muhammad Ali is one of my greatest fighters of all time. He was very magical in the ring, but it was the things he beat outside of the ring that truly got my attention. Deontay Wilder is the closest thing to that in this time. Let's just say Malik Scott has since tweaked that comment. He took to his social media and added, "Human media always misquoting me for the sake of clickbait, and because they know their fellow humans are the most easiest creatures to finesse. I never said the Bronze Bomber was the closest thing to Muhammad Ali in this time. My exact words were, Deontay Wilder is 10 times more skilled in the ring than Muhammad Ali ever was, and has beaten 10 times more battles outside of the ring than Muhammad Ali ever did. Now go right about that. We are on our side. Hashtag odd guy. Odd guy is right.
Right.
Hashtag my way of life. Hashtag no traffic. Hashtag 2 times. And what Deontay Wilder's professional wingman is essentially doing here is likening Deontay Wilder's mediation arbitration situation with Tyson Fury to Muhammad Ali's issue with the U.S. government during the war and the draft.
Are those two situations similar?
They're not. One situation, quite literally, involves a war, human rights issues, civil rights issues, and civil rights activism.
One situation does.
Whereas the other does not address or involve any of those issues at all. It is simply a contractual dispute between two affected parties, Team Wilder and Team Fury. What the fuck the mediation arbitration has to do with civil rights issues and activism?
Those two things don't have nothing to do with each other.
They literally don't. In what way, shape, or form is Wilder's situation anything like Muhammad Ali's situation?
And in what way, shape, or form is Wilder like Muhammad Ali?
I mean, how? You tell me. I'm not seeing the connection.
Even have the gas. Gas is finances in court. People don't even have the gas to go that long in court. I bet they wouldn't fight that long because you ain't got the ammo. He got the ammo and used it for the right reasons to get his title back to lead his people again. How this go blind for some people, they just believe what they want to believe, bro.
What the hell's this guy talking about? They went into mediation arbitration late last year. What was it, November? November till now, that's what, 7 months?
Yeah.
You're likening the mediation arbitration to Ali's situation with the U.S. government, a situation that costed him roughly 3 years of his professional boxing career. You're likening the roughly 7 months you spent in mediation arbitration to Ali losing 3 years of his pro boxing career. 3 years because he was against the war.
I mean, that's why he got exiled.
On June 20th, 1967, Ali was convicted by a Houston jury of a felony charge of violating the Universal Military Training and Service Act. According to a New York Times report, Federal District Judge Joe E. Ingraham sentenced Clay to 5 years in prison and fined him $10,000. Banned from boxing, he and his attorneys would spend the next 4 years appealing that verdict. As the Vietnam War became increasingly unpopular, Ali made speeches on universal campuses, becoming an anti-war and civil rights hero.
Was Deontay Wilder banned from boxing?
Was he charged with a felony?
Costed him 4 years.
It seems I was mistaken. It wasn't 3 years, it was 4 years. It was roughly 4 years. This entire fiasco costed Muhammad Ali when he took his stand against the U.S. government and against the war. What was Wilder taking a stand against with Tyson Fury? I mean, in what way is that an example of Ali's political activism?
In what way?
Civil rights activism, human rights issues. In what way is Deontay Wilder's mediation arbitration with Tyson Fury In what way is that a civil rights issue? In what way is that a human rights issue?
It isn't a human rights issue. What it is virtue signaling.
Ali's boxing license was restored in 1970. After 2 tune-up fights, the 29-year-old boxer sought to regain his heavyweight title from the new champion Joe Frazier in a highly touted fight at New York's Madison Square Garden on March 1971, according to the Washington Post report. We know what happened. Ali suffered his first professional loss in that first fight with Joe Frazier. When the sentence came down in Houston, Ali was 25 years old. By the time he fights Smokin' Joe, he's 29. He's lost a considerable amount of time. How much time did Wilder lose as a result of this mediation arbitration?
How much?
So you know what I see? I see a situation to where you guys could have had your fight behind closed doors. You could have. You didn't want to do that because you didn't want to miss out on all the money, the live gate revenue.
Remember, they generated $16 million at the gate with the second fight.
They didn't want to miss out on all of that money, so they came to a mutual agreement that they would wait. They would wait until the crowds come back before staging the third fight. In that way, this issue between Team Fury and Team Wilder has nothing to do with human rights, has nothing to do with any kind of war being fought on any battlefield, has nothing to do with civil rights or civil rights activism. It's just 2 teams that wanted to make the most money they could, so they waited. And in waiting, they experienced an issue as a result of the global pandemic.
That's it.
In what way, shape, or form can you liken that situation to what Muhammad Ali experienced from 1965 to 1970?
You can't do it.
This is a pretty textbook case of virtue signaling. Deontay Wilder is likening himself to Muhammad Ali because at least by now it's pretty obvious he wants to pass himself off as some kind of a civil rights leader. He wants to pass himself off as some kind of an activist. Yet when that entire fiasco kicked off last year with BLM, I don't recall seeing Wilder doing any marches.
George Floyd case.
The riots, the civil unrest. While all of that was going on, Deontay Wilder was held up somewhere in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, writing poems or having poems written for him.
Wasn't leading anybody.
Now, over there on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, Anthony Joshua and his team, they actually did make an appearance at a rally over there in Watford, his old stomping grounds. They actually did hold a function, did hold an event. Anthony Joshua himself, he did speak in front of a lot of people, he did. So if it's Wilder's intention to liken himself to
Civil rights leader
Muhammad Ali and all of Muhammad's civil activism, well, looking at it, I'd have to say Anthony Joshua is a lot more like Ali than Wilder in that respect, because I reiterate, Wilder was held up somewhere in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
for months.
The most he did was read a poem, and he disappeared.
You didn't see or hear much from Wilder during those riots.
He uploads a video of himself strolling through a forest, some clearing, somewhere on his own property, I have no doubts. And, he reads a poem
You remember.
that either he wrote or a poem that was written for him, and then he disappears. He goes back into hiding. You don't see much of Wilder till later on in the year, where he uploads that video addressing Tyson Fury and the cheating allegations and all of that. But as far as any actual rallying and any actual leading, Deontay Wilder didn't do any of that. We actually saw John Bones Jones of the UFC. He got involved to some extent, some capacity. We saw Anthony Joshua have that rally over there in Watford. We saw several other athletes from other sports get involved in their own way, but we didn't see Wilder at any marches. We didn't see any actual civil unrest from Wilder. He didn't partake in any of that.
He's supposed to be the closest thing to Ali in this generation.
Based on the candor of his professional wingman, roadie Malik Scotch, who's been doing Deontay Wilder solids since March of 2014 when he took that fucking dive.
Guy gets punched on the wrist and decides to call it a day.
I'm sure you've heard of it. Based on the candor of one Malik Scotch, we're supposed to liken Deontay Wilder to Muhammad Ali because of this mediation arbitration situation, because of Wilder's involvement in any civil rights activism, civil unrest. Let me tell you something. I don't think the Louisville Lip would have been held up somewhere in some compound during those riots, during that entire George Floyd situation. I don't think the Louisville Lip, Muhammad Ali, would have went into radio silence the way that Wilder went into radio silence when all of that stuff was going on. I think we would have heard more from Muhammad than a lone poem that either he wrote or someone wrote for him around that time. Deontay Wilder is no Muhammad Ali. Deontay Wilder is what I always thought he was. An opportunist, a con man, a shyster,
A wannabe.
and a fraud. And his pole-smoking sidekick, Malik Scott, has been a party to Wilder's virtue signaling for the longest time now. There's no limit to what kind of crap will come out of either of these guys' two mouths. But let me tell you something. Wilder's no fucking Muhammad Ali. What kept you out of the ring in 2020 wasn't a civil rights issue, human rights issue. It wasn't activism.
You and Tyson Fury's team were just waiting for the crowds to come back.
And that had everything to do with money. That had everything to do with finance, not human rights or civil unrest. Wilder himself didn't partake in any rallies. He didn't attend any marches. If he didn't fight Tyson Fury in 2020, he can't even blame the pandemic because boxing matches were happening. Boxing matches were happening in studio settings behind closed doors. But because both teams wanted to make as much money as they could, they decided to wait until the crowds come back. In what fucking way does that make Deontay Wilder anything like Muhammad Ali? In what way does that make him a civil rights leader?
Never mind that load of crap about how he's 10 times more skilled than Muhammad Ali.
As some things are simply too stupid to talk about. It's no secret, it's no mystery that Deontay Wilder has been trying to inject a certain kind of vitriol into his engagements with Tyson Fury that we've seen before. What we saw in the Jerry Cooney versus Larry Holmes fight way back when, over 20 years ago.
This isn't the first we've seen of this.
Deontay, one form or fashion, is attempting to use that angle as a means to help sell this fight. In that way, it's misappropriation of real-life issues for personal gain, for personal profit. Because you versus Fury ain't got nothing to do with civil rights, civil activism, human rights, or anything like that. In lightweight news, unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez took to his social media and left a comment that reads, "This is the last time I'll be addressing this, as this is a direct quote from WBC Moro, Mauricio Suleiman. Please direct any questions or comments to the WBC president, Mauricio Suleiman, from the man himself." And in the video posted below the comment, you'll see Mauricio Suleiman giving out his mixed messages, his mixed signals, as far as who the real WBC champion is. And maybe to the WBC,
That franchise designation means something.
as it is a designation of their own design, it may hold some value and be recognized by them. That's not the issue. The issue at heart is it's not recognized by the other sanctioning bodies.
Lomachenko-Lopez fight, we were, Lance, myself, I think Dan Rayfield, there was like 4 or 5 guys on talking to Mauricio, and he said, if you remember, Lance, very specifically, the winner of this fight is the WBC champion. And we quizzed him several times, and it wasn't franchise champion. He said the winner of this fight is the WBC champion. So I guess, do you look at Lopez as the WBC champion?
No,
I mean,
well, he's the WBC franchise champion, yeah.
So he did not say. Remember that he did not even say franchise. He said it wasn't Lopez at that time. It was I'm the winner. The winner is the WBC champion. Period.
But, I think he changes his mind quite often. But the truth is that Teofimo Lopez is the WBC franchise world champion. Devin Haney is the WBC world champion. The other governing bodies do not allow a franchise champion to unify the belts, right? So in that instance, the other governing bodies do not recognise Teofimo Lopez as the undisputed champion. So he should be, by the way, because he's tremendous. I mean, he beat the pound for pound, top 3, and he should be the undisputed champion. But on paper, he's not. I mean, but that's why I was saying to Michelle, when Canelo boxed Callum Smith, we asked for the WBC belt to go on the line, and there was a problem because Yildirim was mandated to fight for it. Okay, so I think that there was an opportunity there to make that fight for the franchise belt. Canelo didn't want that because he knew he couldn't be undisputed if he won the franchise belt. So he said, look, get me that, let's fight him quickly, Yildirim, so I can get hold of the WBC world title, not the franchise. I mean, the whole thing's absolutely ridiculous. I can't even believe we're living in a world where we're actually discussing this.
Oh, isn't that what I've been telling you guys all along? Canelo Alvarez wasn't just the franchise champion, he was the inaugural franchise champion, the first of any kind to hold that designation. And upon making it his mission to become the super middleweight division's undisputed champion, he decided to shoot for the world title, the WBC world title. He decided to shoot for that title anyway, because he knows, like Eddie Hearn knows, like I know, like you know. That's what you need to be undisputed.
Not a designation.
I'm not about to start qualifying the WBC's shenanigans, their circus act, their antics, and their assembly line of belts. I'm not going to start qualifying every single one of those on the premise that a particular fighter stands to benefit from it. A particular fighter is the beneficiary of these dubious practices. No. Teofimo Lopez might be happy with his franchise designation, but as far as being undisputed, he's not undisputed because there's a dispute. And this dispute is happening at the grassroots level all the way up to those who are actually in the business, like Eddie Hearn.
People ain't saying this stuff for no reason.
You take yourself a little trip to the WBA's website or the IBF's website. You know what you won't see? You won't see Teofimo Lopez registered as the WBC champion. You will see Devin Haney's name there, but not Teofimo's. I don't even really think we should still be having this conversation because this situation actually comes with an easy fix. There's a very easy way to remedy what's going on here. If Teofimo beats George Kambosos, all he's got to do is fight Devin Haney, beat him, pick up that WBC title Devin Haney's got, and that'll settle it. That will settle the dispute.
And he says he wants to fight him.
So fucking fight him and get it over with. It's that simple. I think a lot of people out there have grown quite comfortable lambasting Devin Haney for holding that version of the WBC title because maybe they feel he doesn't deserve it. Maybe they feel he didn't earn it. And I can only tell you now what I told you before. If we're here, it's not actually Devin Haney or his promoter, Eddie Hearn's fault. We're here because of Bob. Bob petitioned for Vasyl Lomachenko, to be elevated to franchise champion. As a result of that, Teofimo Lopez couldn't have won something from Vasyl Lomachenko that he didn't have at the time. And he didn't have the WBC title.
He had a made-up designation.
A made-up designation that was originally developed for Canelo Alvarez.
Even Canelo knows the difference.
Canelo, who's no stranger to preferential treatment by way of the WBC. Preferential treatment he could opt to lean on moving forward. That's not what he's done. Canelo Alvarez wants to be an undisputed champion in every sense of the word. Thus, he so decided to pick up that WBC world title because a franchise designation is no substitute. If Canelo Alvarez, the inaugural franchise champion, the first of his kind, if he knows that, why doesn't Teofimo Lopez?
Why doesn't he acknowledge that?
And why don't his supporters, why don't his fans and his fanboys acknowledge that? It's not his fault. Nobody's blaming him for it.
Bob's fault.
Just one of those situations where, it is what it is.